the Axis start location for me? I want to get some ideas of what they're going to be planning.
Alright.
I'm slowly flying over, a very slow bird, over to the Allies start location, and I'll try and get a view so we can see what the Allies are going to be planning. Usually, just based on what we see from how they're lining up in their spawn areas, we'll get a good idea of what their actual plan is. If you got a lot of guys standing over to the west, you can probably expect a flank to the west or you know, any direction like that.
Alright.
Alright, Dave, our guest Dave is DC'd, but I think he's gotten back in. Are you back in yet, Dave?
Having some technical difficulties right now. I did get back into the server, but it said I got forcibly removed.
Ah,
But I'm just really having a hard time connecting to the server.
interesting.
We'll see.
Alright. We'll see what's going on. If worse comes to worse, you should actually be able to watch the stream. There should only be a couple seconds delay, so it shouldn't be overly bad if necessary.
If worse comes to worse, I'll tell you what, man. I would just have to cry and break out into tears because this is not something I want to miss.
Honesty at its finest.
All right, here we go. I'm loading. All right, my friend. So, explain to me. Are we waiting for the beginning here, or what's going on?
Yeah, both these teams are just taking their time to set up in their start location. And we're going to see them sort out who they're going to be wanting to go in each direction here. They've got a bit of room to play with in these starting locations. So you're seeing on Allies here, they're setting up a couple guys over in this general direction. And I don't want to reveal too much here. In case people are listening, but they're sending in a bunch of allies on this general direction, and that should lead for a really quick sprint right through there. Oh, free roam. Yes, it is the melee button to switch spectating views. Melee button.
Beautiful. That finally just worked for me.
How are the Axis looking? Are they splitting up nicely in their spawn areas here?
We're a little bit scattered about. I think they're keeping spacing for any early artillery strikes or mortars. I can't remember if anyone grabbed mortars.
Yeah.
But they seem to be getting their plan worked out here down at the railway underpass, which is where they're sending them.
Yeah, and that's really the big thing here. And I'm gonna open up the maps so you guys can see. The Allies here all the way at Putot North End. The Axis all the way at South Village Approach Railway Underpass area. These guys are pretty far away from each other. They are not close. So we're going to get to see a lot of positioning before the actual shooting starts. And I'm going to take a look here to see if there is any mortars on each team. And we do have at least mortar observers on Axis. I'm not sure if there's an actual mortar on Axis, but there's at least a mortar observer. And if there's a mortar on each team, they know where the enemy's starting, and they could dial in the positions and try and go for some early shenanigan spawn strikes. That's yet to be seen, though. Again, this match is not yet live. We're still in the preparation phase. So both these teams are giving the plans out to the men. The leaders are sorting out what everyone's going to do. And once they've got that all sorted, we're going to see both teams ready it up, if you will. And then we're going to go live. And this is an interesting strategy by the Allies, and I'm liking this. They're doing a big stack on their actual tank. And this is going to allow these allies on the tank to get up a lot further than they normally would just sprinting. So they're going to get a hit crew flying up as far as possible on this tank before needing to jump off. And it'll give these guys an absolutely massive positioning advantage.
Interestingly enough, there's some Axis piled onto the Axis tank as well. So a similar strat going on over on this side as well.
Ah, beautiful. That's interesting that both these teams would be going for the same thing. And this is something that's very risky normally, because if your tank gets blown up and there's a bunch of people on it, you could die. Of course, these teams are very far away from each other again, so there's really no risk as to these guys getting blown up once the round starts. They're gonna at least a minute, maybe two, before they hit enemy contact. Really depends on how aggressive both these teams play.
I'm really hoping we could see some good aggression here at the beginning of the map.
Yeah, and
This is all
it's
new to
quite
me,
possible.
but I really hope their strategy involves some sort of sprinting forward.
I mean, there is an hour of time that they can use for their strategies, so we might see a little bit of a slow burn as both these teams just suss out the enemy's position before doing too much. It's really really in question what the teams want to do, though. If I was on one of these teams leading it, I know personally I'd be trying to predict where the enemies were going to be and then trying to counter that prediction. You can get a lot of freebies that way. What about you, First Sergeant Seer? You've done some leading. What would you do if you're in the Axis position right now? Would you take it slow, suss out the opponents, or would you try and force yourself into a strong position right from the get-go?
Well, considering the distance that they spawn from each other, there is a lot of no man's land in between. So you probably want to do a hard aggressive push to grab as much early land as you can. But when you start getting close to the middle ground there, where the action will most likely start breaking out, you'll probably want to play a little bit slow at first and test the waters a bit before making your move.
And that's a good plan as well. I guess it really comes down to preference, I've always been one for throwing caution to the wind and just going all in and taking the risks. Big risk, big reward, right? All right,
That's
again.
very true too, but you usually see a lot of slower plays with a lot of commanders.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot to do with they don't want to. You can lose very quickly with a big risk. You can win very quickly, but you can lose very quickly. And I think they're going to put a lot more faith in their actual men's personal skills. These guys, they work pretty hard to get good at this game. So these commanders are going to put a lot of weight behind the actual skill of their guys, and a slow game will allow their men more time to show their skills. And while I was talking, the allies are ready. One of the teams is prepared for battle. We're going to see the allies, or the Axis, hopefully ready up very slowly. And I'm getting excited. I'm getting very excited to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the jitters here. I'm really getting pretty pumped up to see what's going to happen.
I've got my eye on this guy right here. This guy with his Sten. He's looking at his buddies. I don't think he's going to shoot them, but he's giving them the eyes. And we're off.
Here we go.
Alright, we're going to follow the allied tank from spawn here and see where it sets up, because this is going to be very telling of what their plan is. They're going to want to set this tank up in a position where he can cut off a part of the map. You don't want to walk into HE rounds, and this tank, yeah, it's got HE rounds alright.
Alright, well, I'm watching the Axis spawn here. Guys to keep an eye for. PFC Rogers is holding that Panzer Shrek. So he's, watch out for him to be looking for the tank kill.
And he is actually a pretty well-known Panzer Shrek user. He's one of the older members here in the 29th, and he's got a lot of experience with that weapon. He is a killer. Stone cold.
Speaking of stone cold killers, we also have Janch in here.
And you've got a grudge with
Janch. This
Janch.
guy make some shots.
I can tell just by how much you're mentioning
me
him.
and Janch, we go back a ways. I just love shooting that guy. And
Who doesn't?
I hope he has some fun shooting me too. So.
And this is a beautiful play from the Allies. We've got the Allies who were riding that tank, and they brought a very quick mobile force over to the church here. So they used the mobility of the tank to get a lot of guys up to the church very quickly. And I'm going to fly up in the church for you guys. And this has got some very nice sightlines on this map. This church can see a lot, and they can cover a whole wide berth of a flank. The other side here, we popped over to Corporal Yarvinen, and beautiful prone technique over a wall. He's making some moves over towards this. They're getting close to the silo here. Oh, we got a suicide somehow.
It was over on Axis set here. I did not see how it happened, but that's always a
his
shame.
His game ended quickly.
Yeah, and that could be one of many things.